All right, so we're in the Braverman house with Lauren Graham. I'm a little excited because, as I said, I've been a big fan of yours for a very long time.
Thank you.
Tell us what's going on today. You're shooting a big birthday party, is that correct?
Yes, we're shooting a party scene where two families who've never met are meeting. The Bravermans and are meeting the family of Crosby's recently discovered illegitimate son.
Right.
So that's a party, if I ever heard one.
It sounds wild and crazy. Mm-hmm. Wild and crazy.
Yeah, it's always really fun when we all shoot together because the stories are so separated some of the time that, we don't see each other as much as you might think.
Well, you're now in the 8th or 9th episode. Yeah. Does it feel like a real family at this point?
It did almost from the beginning. It is a really special and crazy group of people who all seem to be sort of crazy in a similar way, which is hard to find. And no, it's really a fun, lucky feeling, to be here. And I think we bonded pretty quick.
I've noticed you're able to speak a little more slowly on this show, which is probably nice for you because I think you used to have 80 pages of dialogue or something. Is it nice to actually be able to focus on sort of set scenes?
It's interesting. The tone of this show is unlike any show I've worked on before. It really feels more like a film in that we find, and it is the opposite of Gilmore Girls, I guess, in that it's about smaller moments and kind of finding the emotion in each scene more than it is what we exactly say to each other. So it's been a really interesting process, and there's a certain amount of improvisation sometimes, and so it feels like a movie.
Do you ever sort of, obviously you're a seasoned pro and we know that, but do you ever break character in the scenes? Because some of these guys that you're working with are pretty hilarious, and it seems like Dax might be hard to get through scenes
sometimes. There is kind of no breaking character because it's like if these people were your family, you would laugh when they're funny, you know what I mean? And so we try to use whatever we can and just make that be part of the scene, and sort of add to the reality. I think one thing we're really striving for here is to have this family sound like a family in sort of a messy, kind of overlappy, imperfect way. Right. And so all that stuff just helps.
Well, I loved, I think the first episode was so great for your character because she went out on this blind date. Mm-hmm. She was expecting it to be terrible. She's so upset with her sister that she would even think that she should stoop to this level, and then ends up really hitting it off with him. Can you tease as to what might come with that? Is he going to be sticking around? I think Jim is his name.
Jim Kaczynski. We love Jim Kaczynski, played by Mike O'Malley. He does come back. I think she's really Sarah is struggling to find her way and what does she want and what's important, and there's another guy, Jason Ritter, who comes into her life and it's just she's in a strange time of trying to prioritize. She doesn't have a job, she's living at home. Is this really the time for a relationship? I don't know. She hasn't found the right one yet.
Those are kind of polar opposites, I have to say. Mike O'Malley,
I know.
Jason Ritter.
I know.
Jason Ritter plays the teacher of your daughter's...
Yeah, he's Amber's, my daughter's teacher, and that's how I meet him, and that's how we get into an inappropriate love relationship.
Sounds pretty steamy. And he's on for just a few episodes.
He's on for 4 or 5 episodes. He's great. I only hope that his pilot doesn't get picked up so we can have him back, which is very, very selfless, I think, to wish ill for other people for your own needs.
It's in the name of true love. They could
he
be
just
soulmates.
Was so amazing. This is one of the things about the show is that the guest stars are so great. You want to include them, and we've had such amazing luck just casting who we want. In every case, Jason was our first choice, and he's great, and it's just, I don't know, everybody's really at the top of their game.
And what can you tease to as far as sort of what's coming up with her looking for a job? Is she going to be living in this house for a while? She's really just she's trying to get herself up on her feet, right?
Yeah, what I loved about this character when I read the pilot was I just thought it's something you don't see that much. It's someone who's kind of approaching midlife and really hasn't figured almost anything out except how to take care of her kids in the most basic way, and so the possibilities are sort of endless. I don't think anything gets solved quickly, I haven't moved out yet, and I don't really have, I'm working as a bartender, and I just thought, what would that be like to just not have achieved any of your dreams, even though you have this wonderful family. In every other way, she's kind of at odds and just starting out, and that felt so different to me from the kind of, more of a winner that Lorelai Gilmore was, and so there's nothing is solved yet. So we'll have to have season 2, I guess, because you can't just leave the people hanging.
Obviously.
On
that note, I mean, it's such a great show. I'm really hoping it sticks around, as I'm sure you are. But do you give that a lot of thought at this point? Because it's only been on the air for a couple weeks. But at what point do you start thinking about...
You're always thinking about it. I mean, we're watching the ratings, which have been good. And it's a different world now in terms of predicting that stuff than it was 10 years ago when we launched Gilmore Girls. And so we're just very thankful to be in a position to get viewers, and have had the support and stuff that we've had. Yeah, you always care, and then part of the benefit of having done this for a while is you just stay out of that, I think is the most helpful thing, and really focus on trying to, create a good and entertaining show, and the rest of it is sort of like, you don't know what people are going to, watch and who they're going to connect to. I connect to this show when I watch it, and I can't stand watching myself. So if I can get over that, to me, that's really, I think it just grows as it goes along. And I think the writing and the acting is just so appealing and special, But again, I'm in it. So besides being completely, unable to watch myself, I enjoy the other people. So maybe we can just present episodes where I'm cut out for my enjoyment.
How can you not enjoy watching yourself, Lauren? You were like one of the best actresses out there today. Please.
I don't.
You should just have a montage just going on all the time in your bedroom.
Just in a loop in my house.
Oh, there I am again. God, I was
so
good.
likable.
God, I like me.
No, I think that would be death to, whatever I think that would be death. No, this is the first time I've even watched anything in a long time because the difference between what we shoot and what ends up in the show is marked and interesting to me, because we really work these scenes in this kind of loose way, and it's just so interesting to see it all put together. So I'm getting over my own deep problems, and I'm watching it because I'm proud of it, and I think it's important to enjoy it as much as I can while sitting like this. Why did you do that? Why is my hair like that? That's what it's like.
So we then won't send you a copy of this interview.
God.
Okay,
no, I don't look at any of that for sure. No offense to your good work, but no, you just can get too confused, I think, where if you start getting really into your own, external whatever.
Do you relate to Sarah? I mean, is there any part of her that you think is similar to your own personality?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I am really enjoying kind of thinking about, someone who wears their heart and kind of vulnerability on their sleeve a little bit. Like, I can't do that because I'm in a job that, means I have to try to put a good, try to seem like I have confidence or something so that I can get through the day. But I do really relate to someone who, even though I'm a very lucky person, and I'm doing the thing I always wanted to do, for some reason, I'd so relate to not feeling that way, and feeling just frustrated and kind of, I don't know, like you don't know anything, no matter how old you get, that you're still learning, and I think it's, it's appropriate to our time that here's a perfectly skilled, able person who just can't really find a job that is, right for her, and she didn't get to go to college, and so just wants for her kids things she didn't have, Yeah.
I also love that we see very different sides of her, because I think with her daughter, she's certainly one way, and with the son, they're entirely different children. So you see sort of these two sides of her as a parent, that she can be very protective of the son, and then the daughter needs to be put in her place.
Well, I think it's one of the good things about the show. The dynamics are very clear and specific, and we're only, just getting into kind of what my relationship is with Miles, and who plays Drew, and no, I love that, because you would if the older sibling was a kind of a wiseacre, who's 100, a wise mouth or whatever you call them, a loud mouth like Amber, like May's character.
Yeah.
Of course, the next kid would be the kind of quiet. He's like, well, I'm not going to go in that direction, I just love both of those kids, and I think the relationships are really interesting.
So real life, would you go for more of a Mike O'Malley or a Jason Ritter? It's a tough choice, right?
Wow, what a
Maybe
transition you just did
one
there.
and the package of the other.
I didn't see it coming at all.
I'm just thinking, you have all these great love interests.
As an Irish person, I like somebody with a Mick or an O in front of their name. And I think they're both just adorable. And I think that's, kind of what we see in this character is she's like all over the map, but they're both, totally appealing. But yeah, she hasn't found her man yet.
She probably won't settle down until the end of the series, which will be a long, long time from now. So stay tuned for the next decade of Parenthood.